Hey, what's up, y'all? It's popping. It's D. About to react to the Shanquella Robinson update. This is police have second video proving who is responsible for her death. Also, side note, I'm keeping up to date with this case. I'm keeping a very close eye on what's going on because I want the people involved to go to jail. I want them to get what they deserve. So I am, staying up to date. But if you guys are, not interested in me reacting to these videos anymore, just let me know and I'll watch them on my own and stay up to date on my own. It's all about what you guys want to watch over here, what you want me to react to. But if you guys feel like, oh, this is too much, or this is a sensitive topic, you don't want to keep seeing it, just let me know, and I don't have to watch it over here, but I'm gonna watch this one, and y'all just let me know in the comments. But yeah, we're gonna see what's going on and what the update is. I mentioned in the other video I watched that there was supposedly a second video that was circulating, and apparently they have access to it, so I guess we're gonna find out what's going on. Let's watch.
The case of Shanquella Robinson and a trip taken with 6 of her associates to Mexico turned out to be life-changing for all involved. For one, Shanquella lost her life, and the person wanted for the murder is now wanted in Mexico for the crime, and Mexico is asking them to be extradited back. The 5 others are probably running afraid, wondering what will happen if they are indeed implicated for their involvement in this murder. And now the entire nation is waiting with bated breath for the U.S. government to do what they need to do and handle this situation, making sure that the people involved in this heinous crime are apprehended and taken back to Mexico to pay for taking this precious young girl's life in such a horrific way. This video today will discuss the interview that the lead attorney here on YouTube had with the investigative reporter Geraldo Zuniga, who I've been in communication with as well. Geraldo broke down everything. The government in Mexico has 2 videos, one that we have seen here in the U.S. and of course one that we have not, detailing the fateful events that happened on October 29th. He also spoke about the process of getting the aggressor, who now has a warrant for her arrest, captured in the United States and extradited back to Mexico. He spoke about the conditions in the Mexican jail and how much time she will get. We will break down all of this and so much more, but before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on anything concerning this case and more. Now let's get back to it. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, the news of Shanquella Robinson and the trip she took to Mexico last month that ended in a femicide has been top news here in the United States. Everyone is searching for justice and making sure that the people involved in this crime will not get away with murder. Now, the lead attorney posted a video with Geraldo Zuniga, who is an investigative reporter in Mexico. You remember, this is the same guy that's been giving me information regarding the case, the corruption, the police taking the money, and all of that. He advised that many of his fellow colleagues have been murdered for unveiling the corruption going on in Mexico. So the fact that he's putting his own life on the line to uncover possible corruption in this case is admirable, to say the least. Now, y'all make sure to follow the lead attorney for the full interview. I'll put the link down in the description box below. He spoke to Gerardo in Spanish and translated it back to his viewers. I don't speak Spanish, so Gerardo and I message one another. He translates it back to English to me. So our communications aren't very lengthy because of the work involved, but the lead attorney is bilingual, so we were able to hear exactly what Mr. Gerardo has to say. Now, Mr. Gerardo explained femicide. Now, we talk a lot about homicide in the United States, but we don't discuss femicide, and I personally had never even heard about femicide until this case happened. Now, he explained femicide as a murder against a woman versus a man, or it can even be a murder against a woman versus another woman. But it's considered a femicide if it happens in a very violent way. And that's what happened in this case with Shanquella Robinson. It was very violent. Also explained that it also carries a heavier penalty.
So everybody, this don't even matter. I just hate people. But they're like, oh, the reason why we were saying it's trans because they said femicide. That's not apparently what that means, according to this man. So y'all don't know better than this man. Stop.
Or sentence because it was videotaped. So the fact that this was videotaped makes it 10 times worse than it was before. In the country of Mexico, a femicide carries a minimum sentencing of 20 years.
Ooh,
so 20 years is the least amount that any of the people implicated in this murder will get. It goes up to 50 years. Now, the person that they're currently looking for has not been named. He said that he's hearing it's Dejanay, but in the country of Mexico, a warrant is strictly private until the red notice has been released. And the red notice is a request to law enforcement worldwide to locate and provisionally arrest a person pending extradition, surrender, or similar legal action. Now, he has connects with the police. He has other colleagues, and he's saying that he's being told is Dejanay is definitely the person that's the aggressor in this crime. And according to the video that we've all seen and the video that he's going to detail, and I'll detail to you later as well, the aggressor in both videos happens to be Miss Dejanay Jackson. Now, to just briefly steer away from this interview really quick, I want to give you my own personal beliefs. I do not believe that this was a setup that they had prior to going to Mexico. I feel this was a card game gone terribly wrong. Now, they had a card game, and one card in the game said, all players send hate mail, mean text, DM, post, etc. to the people that flake tonight. I think just from my own personal investigative standpoint, this was a card game gone dead. I'm just going to tell you how I broke it down in my own mind. Shanquella slept in the master bedroom because she paid for the villa out of her own pocket, and we'll discuss that later. Now, I think Dejanay rounded up everyone and told them that she was going to fight Shanquella. Only one side of the bed had been slept in. You can see the pillows on that side. One side had been moved, and obviously one side had not. Now, I believe she used that duvet, that one sheet that they fold up at the bottom of the bed. I think she used that to wrap up in because you could see it was rolled up during the assault. Now, again, I believe she was woken up out of her sleep because the assault, again, happened on the same side of the bed where it looks like she slept on. Now, there's been talk that her family said she typically slept naked, and, you know, a lot of us do that. I think she woke her up, and she confronted her and told her to get up. She was going to fight her. Recording or standing back far enough as to not wake up Shanquella, and they were probably told not to jump in. But they had their cameras ready to record it. Even her quote-unquote best friend, Mr. Khalil Cook. There are some videos on Twitter where you can hear Shanquella briefly say, okay, and Dejanay says, okay. Okay. Shanquella then puts one foot behind the other and reaches out to begin to block Dejanay. I do personally believe that Dejanay did wake her up, confront her, bring the other ones in the room, tell her to get out the bed, gave her enough space to get out the bed, because clearly there was just enough space in between them that I think Dejanay just wanted her to get ready, and Shanquella just wanting to get it over with was like, okay, not knowing that this will end her life. I don't personally feel like this aggravated assault was intended to end Shanquella's life. I believe Dejanay really thought they were going to fight, and this fight went completely left and ended up in a way that none of them figured it would end up. And also, Mr. Geraldo did speak about the second video when a woman came into the room and stopped the fight and actually got into it with Dejanay. So again, going back to the interview, he does admit that there are two videos, and according to the police, there is a person that tried to intervene in the fight, and it's not one of those men. She heard screams and blows, and she came from the back bedroom, and she gets in front of the camera a little bit, and the camera goes to the right. So there was another smaller fight after the Shanquella interaction, so there definitely are two videos because we did not see that. Now, he says in the first video, you can see that the woman kind of wants to get in it, but the camera goes to the right, and then the camera stops. In the second video, she goes in and starts arguing with Dejanay, and that's when the fight stops, and then Shanquella starts convulsing on the ground. He hasn't seen the video, but he's getting this description directly from the police in his connect. Now, I am not sure, and I asked him, I'm waiting on a response, but I am not sure if this other woman was Winter Donovan or Elise Hyatt. I'm leaning more towards Winter Donovan because she seemed like the more concerned one out of the crew, and she was also the one that called 911 when the doctor could not revive her. Now, the only thing that confuses me about this situation is that he said the woman ran from a back bedroom, so I am not sure if he was trying to say from the back of the room or if he was talking about Winter Donovan, because as far as I know, Winter was already in the room, and she was the girl that was recording saying, why did she have to fight back? So I don't know. know. That just confuses me. Maybe that was a lease. I don't know. So I'm trying to figure that out now. Now, this unnamed person, which we still know to be Ms. Dejanay, will be locked up in a medium security prison that's called the San Jose del Cabo prison, which is in the same city that this murder took place. And let me tell you this prison is nothing to play with. Ooh. And we'll get into that in a minute. The prison sentence will be determined by the judge. And in this case, the person that committed the crime fled back to the United States and abandoned the victim. This is another aggravating, determining factor that is causing them to classify this as a femicide. There's extreme violence. There's leaving the body. Mm-hmm. There's recording it, which is an invasion of privacy. It's another aggravating factor. Well, considering that Dejanay was not the one that recorded it, and recording it is a determining factor, you best believe that warrants will soon follow for the people that recorded this as well. Now, in order to get this person extradited back to Mexico, again, the red file from Interpol has to be released. Now, once that is released, the person's name on the warrant will be released as well, where she works, her relatives, and all of that information. But again, the warrants right now are classified until the red file is completed. Now, the red file is the process to get the documents together, to get the arrest order, and get all of the documents and send them to the Interpol. He's estimating that this is going to take about 15 days. It's all dependent on the intelligence of the FBI in the United States. So Mr. Geraldo is saying that this information regarding the warrant should be released to the public sometime next week. They just need to get the information for the red file and ask for the extradition orders. So they have legal procedures that have to be carried out. One with the police and the other with foreign relations. They have to work together. Once this notice is given to the authorities can then go pick up the person and take them to custody. When the person is arrested in Mexico, she'll be taken to the prison in San Jose del Cabo. There's a hearing that's first held. This is called the first hearing. They'll read her rights and also explain all of the evidence. They'll go over the audio, the video, all the documents that they have, and they have a lot. This will all incriminate her. Now, the second step is another hearing. After that second hearing, they will give the prosecutors 3 to 6 months to complete and close the investigation. There will not be a trial held for this murder. Now, note this. When she makes her declaration, more information will come out. This will reveal whether this is a homicide, whether it's a femicide, whether it's planned, whether they were just drunk and playing around and it went left. Once the aggressor makes her declaration, we will then see if more people will be implicated. Now, let's say this person that has a warrant for their arrest gets to Mexico, stands in front of the judge, and does not want to talk. She may want to plead the fifth if they're able to do that in Mexico.
No.
Well, guess what? They have all of the proof that they need. They have fingerprints. They have sweat. They have the video. She's going to end up pretty much screwed either way it goes. The evidence is science. According to Mr. Geraldo, she can't say that the fingerprints on Shanquella do not belong to her. This is all science. They have traces of blood. They have all of the proof they need. So if she does not confess, they don't need it. Now, again, unluckily for her, this sentence for femicide is a minimum of 20 and a maximum of 50. But because of everything that was involved, the videotaping, the type of aggression, the type of violence, 20 years is not what she's going to get. And I guarantee you, because so much light is shed on this case and it's making Mexico look so bad at this time, they're going to make an example out of her to make sure we Americans don't go over there and do that type of violence in their country again, making them look bad. So what she can do, however, is start snitching. If this was a plan that they all had prior to going to Mexico, if this was a plan they came up with that morning, if they told her to do it, these are all things that she could tell them to implicate some of the others.
She probably gonna lie too and say that.
She can get less time, but she can't get anything less than the 20 years. So if they decide to give her 30, they might lessen it to 25, but she can't get anything less than the 20 years. Now, the Mexican officials do seem like they need a little help trying to figure out what happened in this case. According to Mr. Geraldo, they were thinking that it was a game gone bad, and they thought that Shanquella went and put some intimate underwear on top of Dejanay's head, They didn't know that it was a bonnet. They ain't never seen nothing like that. And they were thinking Dejanay woke up and she saw these underwear on her head, and that's the reason why she yanked it off with such aggression during this assault. And
this is not a laughing matter at all, but that is what? They thought that she had drawers on her head? That's a goddamn bonnet. You know what?
Not it. The lead attorney had to tell him, no, that's the bonnet. And he was laughing like, bonnet where? Also, they were thinking that Miss Dejanay was transgender because the maid and other people at the villa kept seeing her take off her wig and put her wig back on. They're not used to wigs like that over there in the country. And more than likely, she had the stocking cap underneath it. And maybe, sometimes the stocking cap makes it look like you have a bald head. Dejanay does have very strong features and she's very tall. So they were thinking that she was transgender. And I also told Mr. Geraldo, y'all have her listed on the website as being a transgender, and she is not. And the lead attorney had to let him know that as well. She's just a big girl. So Dejanay, the lead attorney, and I were just trying to make sure that you got to the right side of the jail when you got over there, because it seems like they was real confused. Now, before we talk about that god-awful jail, let's first talk about the Attorney General, Mr. De La Rosa, who is currently investigating the doctor that worked on Shanquella. Because according to the autopsy, they're saying Shanquella died at 3:00 p.m. And according to the doctor, she didn't arrive to the villa until 3:15. So that means that Shanquella had already passed or ascended before she even got there. And she claims that she was working on her for 3 hours. So were you working on just a dead body, or what were you working on? They're questioning that, and they're also questioning the police that were there on the scene. Anytime a homicide, femicide, or anything of that nature happens in the country of Mexico and there are people involved that need to go back to the United States, they're typically held there in Mexico until this is solved, until they can find out what happened. And the fact that they let them go so quickly, they're looking into the police to find out, hey, were they paid off? The villa was notified of what happened inside of the Airbnb, and considering that they were all leaving and they did not get to stay for the whole time they paid for, the villa refunded all of the money, which happens to be $5,400. These are all things that are being investigated currently. And again, I did advise you that Mr. Geraldo did tell me that funds were stolen out of Shanquella's bag up to $17,000. And honestly, the only way to really prove how much Shanquella did take over to Mexico would be going to that airport and meeting with customs to find out how much she declared. So FBI or whoever's investigating, if you haven't done so already, they need to find out how much was declared, how much went back in her bag, and then they can start investigating who took what. So again, according to Mr. Geraldo, the police and the doctor are under investigation, and honestly, the autopsy does not lie. It can give you so much information down to the T because of the science. So we're going to believe the autopsy before we believe the police report and before we believe the doctor. But if the doctor did indeed get there and Shanquella was already passed and they did not give this information to authorities and they covered it up to protect tourism in Mexico, they need to go down for this murder as well, and rightfully so, they will do so. Now let's talk about this prison that this unnamed person will be going to. Now this prison is filled with people that have done a lot of organized crimes. It's a prison full of gangs. Now he explained that there was a drug war back in 2014 and it lasted until 2019. And in 1 year, there were more than 1,000 deaths. And the people that are in that prison are the people that were involved in those killings. The murders of 1,000 people. So think about her in there, not speaking a lick of Spanish, trying to talk to them people and ask for their cornbread. The prison is full of hitmen, gunmen, snipers. They got drugs in the prison. He said they got weapons in the prison. They have a side for men and they have a side for women, but they said some of the women are just as corrupt as the men. They said the prison had the deputy director of the prison murdered because he didn't agree with the proposals of the inmates. They said one of the guys in the prison uploaded to his social media the conditions inside of the prison, and they were horrible. One of the worst in Mexico. Dejanay, you better not walk in there with that same aggression that you had on camera that I saw you with, because I'm telling you, it's not going to work out for you over there, girl. Go over there clapping your hands and wanting to snatch off a bonnet if you want to when you get over there. I guarantee you won't make it a week. Just a word to the wise, if I was the rest of you unlucky sticks, I would definitely get to talking, because there's no way in the world I would stay quiet this whole time, have Dejanay go over to Mexico and be pleading her case and throwing me under the bus with. Y'all better get to singing, whatever you saw, whether you recorded it, any other recordings you have, need to go ahead and come out now, because I guarantee you when she gets over there, she's throwing y'all all underneath the bus. She's not taking this by herself. So it's best if you go ahead and get your name clear now. Whether you get some time or whether you don't get some time, don't want her speaking on your behalf and letting her tell them that you're the one that gave the fatal blow, or letting her tell them that you're the one that told her to do it. Y'all get to talking now. Y'all know I don't typically do long videos, but I did want to update you guys on everything that's happening. Don't forget to...
Oh, wow, this is crazy. She's definitely going to get over there and start snitching on niggas. So, y'all need to get ahead of it and get y'all lawyer and make y'all statements or whatever y'all have to do over here, because she's going to start trying to implicate y'all in this murder as well. I wouldn't be surprised if she even started lying on y'all. She might make shit up. When people are, you know, in desperate times, they start doing desperate shit, and she might start making up stories and saying, well, he hit her first and then he start recording. You know, she could say anything. So it is best that y'all start talking, because right now everybody is a little bit too quiet except for Nazir. He's the one who was in that one video that I watched where he was on his Instagram live or whatever that was, and he was saying that, oh, I got there late, I didn't see none of it. So he pretty much, you know, claimed that he showed up after the fight had already taken place. So, you know, he did seem a little suspicious, but like I said in that video, he may be telling the truth about that he did get there after it already went down. But it was other things he was saying that was suspicious, and he didn't seem like he cared at all that she had passed. He kept saying, oh, I didn't even get to enjoy my birthday. It was for my birthday. I didn't get to do nothing. I didn't smoke no blunts. I didn't get lit. It was just like, nigga, what? That's your concern right now? Why are you even telling us this? But, yeah, this case is wild. I can't wait for her to get prosecuted, though, because this is so fucked up. Y'all let me know what y'all thought, though. Let me know what other videos you want me to watch, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!